Good morning, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Sunday, December 21st, 2014, around 7:15 in the morning in Belleville, Massachusetts. It's going to be a cloudy day, maybe some snow showers around the Merrimack Valley area, but no significant accumulation. Maybe a colding or so, high as 35. And today's the first day of winter, but it's not going to feel like winter this upcoming week with temperatures above average. Some days will be about 10 to 15 degrees above average with the days, and Wednesday a major rainstorm, which will be 1 to 3 inches of rain on Christmas Eve. If it was all snow, it'd probably be over 40 inches of snow, but we'll take it what we can get. And they say that weather patterns will be changing in January, but we'll wait and see what happens. And that's about it on the news. My first subject of the day is a continuation series of the top 10 greatest everything and anything. I have reached the top 10 greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time. The Cincinnati Reds were the first professional Major League Baseball team formed in 1869 as the Cincinnati Red Stockings, and they've been in baseball ever since in one form or another. They were a very competitive team for many years. They had the Big Red Machine in the 70s. They have been consistent in the past few years of making the playoffs, but not advancing. And they are in the NL Central. And here are the top 10 greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time. Number 10 on the all-time list of greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time is catcher Ernie Lombardi. He catched in the 1930s and 40s, .311 batting average, 120 home runs, 682 RBIs, and 1,238 hits as a member of the Reds. He was a 1938 National League Most Valuable Player. He won the batting crown. He was the last catcher to win the batting crown in the National League and to bust a Posey in 2012. Number 9 on the all-time list of greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time, Tony Perez, first baseman. He was a first baseman during the 60s and 70s for the Reds, part of the Big Red Machine. 283 career average, 287 home runs, 1,192 RBIs, and 1,934 hits as a member of the Cincinnati Reds. He retired in 1986. He had 2 tours of duty with the Reds from the early 60s to like 1976, and then he came back as a part-time player in 1984 through 1986. Number 24 is retired by the Reds, and he was a 2000 Baseball Hall of Famer. Number 8 on the all-time list of greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time, shortstop Davey Concepcion, a great defensive shortstop. 267 career average, 101 home runs, 950 RBIs, and 2,326 hits. Number 13 is retired, and he should get some consideration for the Hall of Fame. He was on the voting for the writers for 15 years, but he never made it, and the Veterans Committee should consider him. Number 7 on the all-time list of greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time, first baseman Ted Kulinski, who was famous for wearing those ripped shirts for when he was batting. He was a great home run hitter, 302 career average with the Reds, 251 home runs, 886 hits, and 1,706 hits, 836 RBIs. He comes in at number 7. Number 6 on the all-time list of greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time, outfielder George Foster. George had a career average of 286, 244 home runs, 861 RBIs, and 1,276 hits. He had 52 home runs in 1977 that made him the National League's most valuable player. He was the only player to hit 50 home runs in a over 25-year stretch. The last one to do it was Willie Mays in 1965, and he did it. He was the only Major League Baseball player to hit 50 or more home runs in the 25-year stretch between 1965 and 1990. That's amazing. And he's in at number 6. Number 5 on the all-time list of greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time, outfielder Frank Robinson. Frank Robinson played 10 years for the Reds between 1956 and 1965. 303 career average, 324 home runs, 1,009 RBIs, and 1,673 hits. Who was the 1961 National League Most Valuable Player. His number 20 is retired by the Reds. He comes in at number 5. Number 4 on the all-time list of greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time, Barry Larkin, shortstop. He played his entire 19-year career with the Reds, 295 career average, 198 home runs, 960 RBIs, 2,340 hits. He was elected to the Hall of Fame 2012, and as number 11 is retired by the Reds. 1995 National League Most Valuable Player. He comes in at number 4. Number 3 on the all-time list of greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time, Joe Morgan, second baseman, 288 career average with the Reds, 152 home runs, 612 RBIs, 1,155 hits. He won back-to-back National League's Most Valuable Players with the Reds, 1975, 1976. He played for the Reds for 10 years. He is number 8, retired by the team. First ballot Hall of Fame in 1990, and he was for many years the color man of ESPN Sunday Night Baseball for about 20 years with John Miller. He comes in at number 3. Number 2 on the all-time list of greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time, Johnny Bench, catcher and third baseman and first baseman. He had a 267 career average, 389 home runs, 1,376 RBIs, 2,048 hits. He was a 2-time National League Most Valuable Player. He led the National League in home runs a couple of times, and he was one of the greatest catchers of all time. His number 5 retired by the Reds, first ballot Hall of Fame in 1989. He comes in at number 2, and at number 1 on the all-time list of greatest Cincinnati Reds players of all time, Charlie Hustle himself, Pete Rose. Pete played for the Reds for many years, compiled a .307 career batting average, 152 home runs, 1,036 RBIs, 3,358 hits. He played many positions: second base, outfield, third base, first base. He managed the Reds. He was all around one of the best Reds players of all time. He should be in the Hall of Fame because of his stats. And if, like I said in a previous video blog months ago, that Pete Rose, even though he gambled on baseball, he did not use PEDs. And there's guys in the Hall of Fame who probably use PEDs. And Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. But sad thing, he's going to probably get in the Hall of Fame after he passes away, which will be even more sad. That's about it on that. Be back later, Facebook friends and YouTube followers, for 2 more video blogs. I'm going to talk about memories of WWOR Channel 9 and WPIX Channel 11 in New York. Used to get them on up here in Massachusetts on cable systems years and years ago, back in the 80s. And the third and final video blog will be about Mike Modano, Pro Hockey Hall of Famer and the best U.S. born player in NHL history, and one of the top professional athletes to play in Dallas, Texas. See you later, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. Bye now.